I've been talking and sharing about infidelity and affair-proving your marriage. And today I want to talk about boundaries. Boundaries are one of the things that will be sure to protect you from having to deal with an affair in your marriage. Now, I will speak about boundaries in two categories. Personal boundaries, the boundaries that you put around yourself when it comes to the issue of infidelity. We need to understand that unless you put boundary on yourself, you will not be able to put boundaries on your marriage. So first and foremost, you need to convince yourself, or you need to really get to know yourself and what you stand for. What is your moral authority? Because we do know that there is a moral part of infidelity. So what is your moral authority? Why would you want to not have an affair, you personally, before you even talk about your spouse? So make those decisions, create those boundaries. And in order for you to be a person of fidelity, to be a person of faithfulness, to be a person that will protect your marriage and your relationship from the interference of outside parties, what will you need to do? Number one, you need to know your sexual self. Are you what is it that you believe about sex? What is it that you believe about relationships with the opposite sex when you are committed in a relationship? What about the old friends that you've had who are either male or female of the opposite sex that you are close to, but your spouse feels that those people are not, they cause him to feel uncomfortable? You need to sit down and ask yourself, what is more important here for me when it comes to my marriage and protecting my marriage from us having conflicts about the people in my life? You need to listen to your spouse, and you also need to listen to yourself. I've had situations where a couple have had a stalemate because of one individual, because the other person is saying there is nothing going on between us. You need to take care of your insecurity. And the other person is saying, no, this is not right. That means that both of you have not defined, your relationship has not defined the boundaries within having relationships with people of the opposite sex. So personally, decide what your relationship, who you are in this relationship that will protect your relationship from an affair. So now, once you have defined that I am a monogamous person, I believe that you should not have any other close relationship in that way, whether it is emotional closeness or physical closeness with another person, then you need to know where you are. So andika, tengeneza hiyo laini, put that line. No hugging people in certain ways, no going for a drink with a person of the opposite sex alone, no telling your husband or your wife lies when you are out with a friend who is of the opposite sex. You put those boundaries for yourself. And then be very much aware of where you are emotionally within your relationship. So if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling neglected, if you are feeling mad at your spouse, those are the times when situations present themselves, and then I hear people saying, me, I had not planned about it. I didn't think that's where this was going to go. But because you were lonely, because there were these things that were going on, you were ripe for an affair to start. So it's important that you know yourself and you know when you are not happy at home, so that at that point you are not going to get vulnerable with somebody else. Because if you do, then you can develop a relationship that you had not planned for. So create these boundaries. Don't just say that I am not going to do certain things. You need to ask yourself, what are the slippery slope places that would lead me to that place? Like in addiction counseling, we talk about people, places, and things. So if you are in certain places, you might find yourself open to an affair. If you are with certain people and the way that you relate with those certain people, that can lead you to an affair. So create your own personal boundaries. And then there is what we call marriage boundaries. What is it that you believe about being committed to another person? You need to define that together as a couple. What does it mean? What are the roles? What are the responsibilities? And then what are the expectations? So talk about what you think about exes. I hear this all the time, that you know, we were not talking, me and my wife were not talking, and then suddenly out of the blue my ex called me. We need to understand that exes normally on the overall, in the general, if you have an ex, stay away from them, because you have a history, and it is very possible that when you are vulnerable, it can trigger what you used to have with that person. And also, the fact is, man or woman, we get insecure when our spouses are talking to their exes. So complete that, malizana nayo, so that now you can focus more on building your marriage rather than fighting fires that are not even there. So the boundaries in marriage, I want to share a resource that I think would be very helpful. If you go to any bookstore or even you Google, it's called Boundaries in Marriage, and it's written by Henry Cloud. And you can check that out, because you can learn a lot about how to create boundaries within your marriage. Talking about those things and those hard, difficult questions that you need to ask your spouse, that you need to talk to your spouse about, talk until you are able to come to a place of agreement, and do not go and find solace elsewhere. Don't pout. A lot of us, we pout and we are not dealing with the issue that is at hand. Now, the other thing that I would like to say is that each one of us who is married, let's make a commitment. Let's make a personal commitment that I will choose to love my spouse every day. What we know is this: when we start our dating process, that love is usually very emotional. It's driven by emotions. It's driven by this high that we have getting to know a new person. But real marital love is a choice. That every morning you choose to be kind, every morning you choose to believe your spouse, every morning you choose to protect them and to be there for them and to support them. There are three things that keep a relationship strong: accountability, transparency, and openness. When we have those three things within our relationship will be protected from any kind of interference from outside. But if we are not open, we are not accountable, we are not transparent, then anything will happen to that relationship. So it's important that you realize during your first years of marriage, you need to grow that. I'm going to say this. I have been telling couples, because right now we are living at a very, very difficult time. 50% of our marriages are either in separation, they are in turmoil, or they are divorced. So what I want to encourage, first of all, before you get married, get your 10 sessions of professional marriage preparation for marriage counseling. Number 2, during your first 2 years of marriage, go and see a counselor and just do a check-in. And then a year later, do the same thing. Keep doing that. That will affair-proof your marriage, because you will learn, and you are committed to growth, and you are committed to each other, and you are checking in before things get to be worse. Until I see you next time, continue to live by design. Call me. The number is on your screen. You can let me know how I can help you. You can comment, you can share with your friend, and subscribe to our channel. And may the Lord bless you.